All right. Welcome into this edition of the Milwaukee Bucks on Tap podcast. Corey Moen, Evan Byrne. Evan, how we doing, man?
Doing well. Giving it 2 thumbs up.
Aren't we all? So, last time we had this podcast, as you guys know, the Milwaukee Bucks made the shocking decision to fire Adrian Griffin after 43 games.
What?
Which is one of the shortest tenures in NBA history.
Yep.
I believe it would tie Rudy Tomjanovich in I believe it was the 1999 to 2000 season when he was fired by the Los Angeles Lakers. But kind of hearing different people speak on it, obviously Griffin was fired, obviously due to the inability to fix the defense, and because he really wasn't able to connect with his 2 stars, Giannis Antetokounmpo and Damian Lillard. Okay, those parts are obvious, but then Milwaukee made the unilateral move to hire Doc Rivers.
Mm-hmm.
That was we kind of knew it was coming down the pike last week, but it was made official a few days ago by the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yep.
And with their hilarious Twitter caption, "What's up, Doc?"
Mm-hmm.
However, Doc Rivers is not the coach of the Milwaukee Bucks yet. He makes his debut tonight
Against the Nuggets, which will be a good game to kind of debut in against the defending champs.
Well, true, and not only that, but Doc Rivers is coach of the Bucks and probably one of the toughest stretches
Yep.
that we're gonna have this year.
He even mentioned that in his interview.
Yeah, he jokingly said, "I probably should wait until after the All-Star break." But until that point, Joe Prunty was taken over.
Mm-hmm. The Prunt
And
guy.
in his 3-game stretch, he was coined the name Prunt Dog for the way he MFs the refs, always has his players back no matter what. I literally saw a game, the other night against the Pelicans where Joe Prunty, Thanasis at the end of the game traveled. Joe Prunty wanted to travel it. And keep in mind, they were blowing out the Pelicans too.
Yeah, they're up like.
But Joe Prunty was MFing the refs, and he wanted to challenge it. You can't challenge a travel.
Yeah, there's like 2 minutes left in the game.
He doesn't care. Hey, Prunt dog. So that's the only aspect of Joe Prunty I will miss coaching the Bucks. It's just the fact that he always had his players' backs.
Mm-hmm.
And you love a guy like that. You love an assistant like that. So yeah, Doc Rivers is gonna make his debut tonight. But before we get to that, I wanted to bring up kind of the, obviously the weird schedule Milwaukee had. They played the Cleveland Cavaliers twice. Okay. It was some weird stretch where they played nobody but the Pistons and the Cavaliers, which
For 5 games.
Very odd part of the schedule.
Yep.
So one of the games they played last week, Milwaukee won 126-116. Giannis very down again. I believe it was about 34, 35 points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 35, 18, and 10.
Low 28. So it was like it. And keep in mind, that was Joe Prunty's first game coaching the Bucks. And it couldn't have gone better. What was your reaction to that game?
Well, it looked a lot better defensive-wise, so I kind of went back to the schedule, and besides the last game against the Pistons where they gave up 113, it was one of their lowest games in a couple weeks since the Rockets, but again, that was a low-scoring game that they gave up and they couldn't score themselves. But yeah, just kind of looking back, it actually looked somewhat consistent on defense. Looked comfortable. Everyone kind of looked. That was the Bucks video was going viral, them dancing pregame, which they do quite often, but people were kind of putting that of dancing over Adrian Griffin being fired. But yeah, just an overall dominant game, I think, from Giannis. He's been on a little triple-double spree, I guess, as of recently. He's gotten like a few almost every other game, or like the last 5 games he had 3 or so. Don't quote me on that, but pretty confident with it. But yeah, he looked comfortable. A lot of the starters just kind of looked nice to have back too. Brook, okay scoring game, but kind of good on the defensive end. Had a couple blocks. Same with Beasley, kind of slow game, but big game from Giannis. Chris shooting well as per usual. The only downside, I think, is the bench. In the first 2 games, we'll get to the next one, but Andre Jackson Jr. didn't play, which kind of surprised me for Joe Prunty to not put him in. I don't know if it was just for against the Cavs that he was going to play him. But yeah, just a kind of a gross game from the bench overall. You got 3 from Jay Crowder, 8 from Bobby, 6 from Pat, and 5 from Campaign. So not the best game from the bench, but really those are the only bench players who did play besides the last minute or so for the garbage time. But it looked good. It looked comfortable. I think scoring-wise wasn't the best, but giving up only 116 points after firing your coach, I felt was a pretty good kind of bounce-back game, just point-wise for the Bucks instead of giving up 125, 130 points and up. But yeah, pretty solid win. Kind of a back-and-forth game until the end where the Bucks kind of pulled away late in the fourth. But yeah, overall, I was pretty satisfied with that game under Joe Prunty.
Okay, go back to that for a sec, because obviously the big news story after Adrian Griffin was fired was that the dancing video comes out and everybody had a reaction to it. So you're saying that's a normal thing that Milwaukee does?
I have seen them do that. They always hype each other up pregame all the time, and that's one that they've done in the past. I feel like people are just putting it out of context. I've seen them do that before, and not even just this season. They've done it in the past. That dance has been a trend for the last few years or so. I don't kind of put it as a labeling of anything against Adrian Griffin. I just think people are taking out of context or trying to start something that's not necessarily there. Personally.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, everybody's going to reaction to it. Everybody has strong opinions. I think more or less what people were more bothered by was the optics of it, where it's just like, really, you do that dance after your coach was fired, like. So I guess people are more or less bothered by the optics of the dance, but it's just one of those things where, I don't know. People dance. They're going to have a good time. So, I'm not going to be like, everybody's going to think that's a low blow. And you're saying if they've done it before, then it's just one of those things where I'm not going to, be like, oh, they shouldn't have done that. Because at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, guys, like, he still lost his job. And I just don't want to like make a big deal out of something that's really just not a big deal.
It's not there, yeah. Yeah, I didn't see it as disrespectful. I see it as they've done it before. They don't really post those before, but usually on their Instagram stories, they'll post their pregame dance circles of some sort where someone goes in the middle and they hype each other up. They're locked in. That's all I see it as. I don't see it as any disrespect towards Adrian Griffin. I think people are just trying to make something out of it that, again, isn't entirely there to begin with.
Yeah, so it's just such a weird it's just such a weird situation. Okay. And honestly, if I'm being honest here, kind of looking back on it, I think both sides could take a bunch of the blame. The fact that they brought in Doc Rivers like a little like during the play-in tournament, trying to counsel Adrian Griffin, and all of a sudden, like, now he's our head coach. Like that's where the situation kind of gets murky to me, and I think that's where every Bucks fan, it's like, that's a little shady.
Yeah.
Where it's like it felt like they were waiting for Adrian Griffin to like mess up or have some of the team leaders be like, yeah, we don't get along with this guy. Oh, okay, no, we'll fire him because we got this backup plan right here. That's what it felt like to me. Like, I know they didn't mean it that way, but that's what it looks like. Okay, because how many first-year coaches have an outside counsel to try to navigate their first year?
Yeah, not a
Like,
lot.
wouldn't you just have him let him figure it out on his own? And look, I get it. Milwaukee's not at that stage as a franchise where you can't just let a first-year coach figure it out on his own. But by the same token, like, if you like Doc Rivers so much, why didn't you just hire him in the first place?
Exactly.
If you want a veteran-laced coach, why didn't you just hire him in the first place? Okay, because trust me, the fan base knew the risk of having a first-year coach
on a team who needs to win,
and especially after you trade for Damian Lillard. That's where the expectations went from. We could be really good, maybe make it to a conference finals, to trade for Damian Lillard. No, championship. It ratcheted up so quick after they got Damian Lillard that like Adrian Griffin didn't even have time to,
settle in.
anything. It was just championship or bust. And every single game that Adrian Griffin coached was magnified to the point where if this team won like 135 to 120, oh Jesus, defense still sucked. This is the worst hire of the offseason, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, I feel bad for Adrian Griffin because I think he deserves a head coaching job, just not at the one that just not like that. I mean, it was just such an unfair situation.
Yeah.
And again, it's, let's be honest, throughout professional sports, it's rare where a black coach gets into a position like that where he's put in a good position, where he's put in a position to succeed, where he's actually coaching a good franchise. I think most black coaches, get into a situation and, they don't see results right away. You're fired after a year. Okay. Now it's just like Adrian Griffin's put in a good situation, but now he doesn't get along with Giannis or Dame, or he's not connecting with them, and he's gone. And I don't know if, I don't know. It just feels like John Horst, I don't know if he really gave a reason why. It was just like it was the best move that we can make at this time. So then it just feels like, oh shoot, we're in too deep here. Like we gotta make a move.
Yeah, do it as soon as possible before it's too late.
Yeah, and I think, and I guess if I give credit to the Bucks is that they ripped the Band-Aid off now before we get to the playoffs and we got knocked out of the first round because we weren't competing with the championship under Adrian Griffin. We just weren't. Okay, it wasn't going to happen. We were probably going to get knocked out in the first round if I'm being honest here, because it's just you can't go into every playoff game in a track meet. Okay, those 4 or 5 games, teams know your tendencies very well. So it just wasn't going to work. It's crazy for me to say that after the team won 30-13, but it wasn't going to work.
Nope. And Doc we trust though now.
Doc we trust. And look, and Doc Rivers has said some of the things he wants to fix. He wants to get more pick and rolls for Giannis and Dame, and to that I say thank God, please.
Yeah, that was something handed to us that we could use so well, and it just was not used at all.
Yeah, thank goodness. And now look, I don't think that, the fan base can be annoying about who people interview and hire and all this other stuff. They just, for the Doc Rivers thing, people were just so negative, where it's just like, oh, look at his playoff record, and it's just like, okay. I mean, let's the thing that the fan base needs to do is kind of think about things rationally, and sometimes we don't do that. They just kind of look at the his record in Game 7s or his 3-1 and blowing 3-1 leads, and I look at it, it's just like that's not all on him. Okay, I get it. He was the coach of those teams, but okay, if you rationally, if you think about the Sixers, okay, what NBA coach has won anything with James Harden?
Yeah, none actually.
Okay. Those Clippers teams, okay, outside of 2015, rationally, do you think
no?
Okay, they probably shouldn't have won the 3-1 lead to the Nuggets, but at the same time, not everybody wanted to be in the bubble. So, like, I don't know if I put that all on him because it's like mentally, not everyone wanted to play basketball. Okay. Not everyone wanted to play basketball in the Orlando bubble. So I don't know if I can really put that all on him.
Mm-hmm. I would agree.
So, you know, it's just not fair for me to be like, the bubble was the reason why that Doc Rivers didn't perform well in the playoffs. So, you know, we just got to think about these things rationally and, you know, see what happens. This damn internet, I'm telling you. Okay. Damn internet, I'm telling you. This thing has done this the last 2 times. Anyways, got to think about these things rationally, okay? Because at the end of the day, you know, Doc Rivers, I hope he leads us past the second round. That's all I hope for.
Yep.
Okay? We got knocked down the second round 2 years ago. We got knocked down the first round last year. Nowhere to go but up, Evan. So, moving on to the next game.
A little back-to-back.
It was
another
Cleveland
Cavs
Cavaliers. An expected loss.
Yeah.
Lost 112-100. And really, the thing is like this game was like a dogfight throughout the first half. And then the second half, Milwaukee just could not score. They went like a 5 to 7 minute stretch without scoring. And it was curtains from there. They just could not score. They let Jared Allen, Donovan Mitchell take over the game against them. You know, there were a couple other guys in there.
Like, yeah, Strus threw in 11, Karis LeVert 12. So a couple guys.
Sam Merrill hit a couple shots.
God, Sam Merrill.
George Niang and Bobby Portis were going at it. Dean Wade hit a couple of wide open threes. So it was a mix of it was a mixed bag of everybody, and that's the reason why Milwaukee lost. What was your reaction to this game?
Yeah, this was one of those games where defense again, you're only giving up 112 points, but you're only scoring 100 points. So this is just one of those games where the offense was just not there tonight. I can't really do much besides that. I don't know. Again, decent shooting game from Giannis, Chris. First of all, Damian Lillard. Holy crap, dude. Looking at the 2 Cavs games, and then obviously we'll get into the Pelicans next, but these 2 Cavs games were horrible shooting for him. He'll still score 22 and up, but he shot 7 of 24 and 2 of 10 from 3. I just feel like just with like that idea, he is still trying to be the person who needs to take every shot, but he, again, does not realize that he has Giannis on his team. He has Chris Middleton on his team. He has Malik Beasley on his team. Heck, even he has Brook Lopez on his team. You can throw in Bobby Portis. Like, he has all these guys around him who can shoot where he doesn't need to take 24 shots. But I don't know if he's still in the mentality of I am the scorer of the team and I just need to shoot when I get open. But Jesus, dude, it's so inconsistent where he'll have a decent shooting game, but then he'll come out and again shoot a July 24th game, 7 of 24, where it's just, I don't know. I don't even know how to say it because he was 2 of 10 from 3. He only 6 free throws. It's one of those games where nothing was going in for him, but he just continues to shoot. That's what I feel like Doc Rivers needs to implement with the pick and roll, where if Lillard is having a game where he is shooting atrociously, that's where you implement the pick and roll. He doesn't need to shoot 24 times a game, I feel like. And if he is, he's got to hit at least half his shots, or we'll say like a 40 to 45% of those shots. But yeah, shooting 7 of 24 and 2 for 10 on 3 for a guy who we need to hit 3-pointers to be shooting 3 of 10 or 1 of 8. It's got to be either consistent where he's not taking 10 shots, or he's got to hit at least 2 or 3 more to make it somewhat, I guess, reliant in that sort. But yeah, just bad shooting night. That's how I see this game. Offense,
and that's where, and that's where we kind of leave it up to Doc Rivers to be like, get because I feel like halfway through the year, halfway through the season, Milwaukee's defense or offense has just kind of been a little discombobulated.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's mostly been because like they've had to rely too much on Dame and Giannis to carry on the bulk of the scoring load, and sometimes Milton and sometimes Lopez. But I think what Doc Rivers needs to do is get other guys involved. Okay, it can't just be Dame and Giannis scoring the bulk of our points. They're not going to get anywhere as a team, especially heading into the postseason, if that continues to be the case. Okay. Like, I just don't think they had like an offensive system. I think they were just kind of lagging by on talent alone. They could do that because, they're two of the best players in the NBA, top 75, recent All-Star game starters. So like, they can do that in the regular season because it's a once-off. And, nobody's like, there's a scouting report, but it's not like as in-depth as it would be for maybe the NBA playoffs. But once you get to the playoffs, everybody's got to pull their weight. Okay. And, if Dame shoots a game like that in the postseason, they're not going to win. So, I think that's going to be the good experience for Doc Rivers because he can get those guys organized. Okay. Dame doesn't need to shoot all those shots. He's an egoless player. Like he's not looking to get his. He looks to get guys involved. So if we could get the Dame Giannis pick and roll going, or Dame Lopez, or if Giannis can even set like Malik Beasley up for threes, Pat Connaughton for threes, Cameron Payne for threes, I think that's where this offense could go, kind of from down here to really rely on Dame and Giannis to be like skyrocket.
Yeah, because I was looking at the score again, and I know this isn't the first game because you mentioned it before, but Malik Beasley played 27 minutes and only took 2 shots. So you have a guy who took 24 and made 7, you guy who took 2 shots and made 1 of them, where it's what can be split up to obviously get Malik Beasley more involved because, again, he's one of the top corner 3-point shooters in the league, where why aren't they using that in a game where offense isn't working for basically one person? Because I feel like taking 24 shots is a lot of missed opportunities for other guys to score. Why not try Malik Beasley? Hit him in the corner. I don't know. He's shooting almost 50% in the corner. It's one of those things where it's just trying something else instead of just, oh, I'm going to shoot again. I'm shooting again. Oh, let me shoot this one. And yeah, it just doesn't work. Because realistically, if Malik Beasley gets 2-3 more shots and he makes, I don't know, one of them, it's a 6-point game, and that kind of changes the momentum of depending on, again, how the game goes, but changes a lot. But yeah, him getting 2 shots as a starter in 27 minutes compared to Lillard getting 24, I don't know, just doesn't sit right as a team who's trying to score offensively.
But we do want to make this clear. We're not saying let Malik Beasley cook where he deserves like 8 or 9 shots a game. We're saying if he's open for a corner 3, hit him. Hit him. Like Malik Beasley's not the type of guy to really like, he could create a little bit. But, again, Malik Beasley's had to play a different role too.
Yeah.
So, just we're not saying Malik Beasley cook. We just gotta make sure we're more balanced offensively. And I feel like Milwaukee, that's what they struggle with sometimes. And that's why like Giannis and Dame have to put up massive scoring performances for them to win, because it's just like, just sometimes the offense could be a little like just rely too much on their talent and not getting into the right play.
Yeah, I feel like they're forcing some of these shots, or not, I wouldn't necessarily say forcing, but guys are taking shots who I feel like shouldn't be taking shots as much as others. Like looking at it just from the starters, outside of Malik Beasley, so we'll take the main 4. Giannis took the least amount and was the most efficient. Now, he did get into foul trouble. He had 5. I don't remember when that necessarily happened but to see other guys taking, like, Brook took 14 shots. Chris took 16, and Chris made 5 of his shots, and Brook made 4. Like, Brook taking 14 shots, and only 4 of those were 3-pointers, and he didn't make any 3-pointers, so he only made 4 close shots. It's one of those things where, again, how can that be moved around where if his close shots clearly aren't going in, why keep forcing it when something else can work? But yeah, it's just one of those games where nothing offensively was working and defense still was pretty good. I guess 112 is a pretty decent score to give up, I guess, for the Bucks, knowing their track record with the 130 and ups. But yeah, just a bad second half, I feel like really let them down, and just a lot of poor shooting just in general. Turnovers, you had 18 turnovers. That's also kind of big.
And the other highlights of the game was like Bobby Portis once again is just picking on just random ass.
Yep, nobody's
international play. Like I'm not 100% sure where George Niang is from, but he's like a lot smaller. It's just Bobby Portis.
Just trying.
Why? Bobby Portis sometimes gives me like Draymond Green vibes, where he's just not really picking on guys his own size, or just like soft like European bigs, like Kelly Olynyk. It's just come on, dude. Can we like at least pick on somebody where the fight might be a little even? Like, why is he picking on Kelly Olynyk? Kelly Olynyk's not gonna do anything. He's picking on George Niang. I'm like, come on, dude. Really? You let George Niang give you a technical foul? Like, what? I love Bobby. Don't get me wrong, but if we're gonna go after somebody, can we go after somebody like a little more fighting power?
Yeah, a little more even.
That's what I'd like to see. You're going after little George Niang. I'm like, yeah, come on, dude. You're better than that. Kelly Olynyk. That's what he reminds me of Draymond Green. Because Draymond always goes after like European guys. Like Bobby just goes after either European guys or guys that like 2 times smaller than him.
That's Bobby for you. He'll get in a fight with anyone he wants.
Yep. So, next game, New Orleans Pelicans, Saturday nights.
Yep, a better game.
Nice. That was a blowout. I believe the best person who had the best game with the Pelicans was Brandon Ingram, who I believe, if you can look it up for me, I believe he had 24.
26.
26. Ooh, I was
yep, shot 50% from the field, a couple threes. Yeah, he had 26. Zion at 23.
As I was watching that game, I'm like, when did Brandon Ingram pick up 26 points? It's a
nonchalant game. Yeah.
It's a nonchalant, quiet 26. And
That's like DeRozan. DeRozan always would have like 30 against the Bucks, and it's like, oh, I didn't realize that. It's because all those mid-range shots that he does.
It's so quiet, and it's just so nonchalant. It's so unassuming. It's kind of like Joe Johnson. Like they're so quiet. They just go out there and ball, and I'm just like, even Lisa Byington was like, yeah, Brandon Ingram's 18. I'm like, am I watching the game?
What?
When did he pick up 18 points? Jeez Louise. By the way, did you watch the Pelicans game on Saturday?
I did, yes.
Okay, well, I don't know why they keep trying to put Zion in a point forward role, but like he is not in shape to be doing that.
No.
I don't mean that. I'm not fat shaming, okay? I'm just saying the role that they ask him to play is not the role that I think he should be playing.
Not at all.
Evan, as I watch him, I'm like, there's no explosiveness there. There's absolutely, positively, like he could get to the lane, and he could draw fouls, but he's not explosive at all. Are you seeing the same thing I'm seeing?
Yeah, he's not. Well, he's not one to bring the ball up. He's not known for his handles. I mean, I wouldn't even say Giannis is known for his handles either, but he's got more of a control for it, and height-wise is clearly not the same, but I don't know what they're going to do with Zion. I mean, he can just be so good if he, I don't know, just has the correct role, can stay healthy, but Zion is just so confusing to me. Like, he will be lights out one game, highlight after highlight, and then some other games it's like, oh yeah, Zion's on the team. I don't know. I can never pick him out on, obviously he's good, but like, why aren't you like one-upping from being good to better? But yeah, they're not using him correctly.
I can answer that question. He's not shedding the weight. That's his problem.
True.
He's the number one. He was the number one overall pick a few years ago, and
Yep.
yet we're still talking about this like 5 years later. 5 years later, we're still talking about how Zion needs to lose weight, or if he doesn't do it. Like, okay, they outlined all of his injuries this year. Where are they all from? His lower extremities. What is that caused by? Stress. Like that's just having too much weight. When you're constantly injuring. Okay, and now look, hamstrings are different. I'm not a doctor, but I'm just saying, if every one of your injuries is down here, that means you're putting too much. There's just too much pressure on your joints. Like if you're that big, like of course, like your lower extremities are more susceptible to being injured. Okay, and you don't even need to be a doctor to realize that. It's just.
Yeah, he's 6'6", 284.
That is such a lie. I feel like he's a lot larger, but he could be. He could be. I'm just saying the role that that's going to play. I just don't. That's not a role for him.
Yeah, no.
And, while it was impressive to see he knocked down Giannis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just big body in the paint.
Like it. I don't know that. That was really my only thing from watching that game. Other than that, Milwaukee had 13 threes in the first half, just an absolute barrage. And really, that's really where the game was over, where Milwaukee just could not stop hitting threes, including Bobby Portis giving Milwaukee some big minutes off the bench.
Yeah, my favorite thing was watching Bobby, Pat, Campaign, mainly Bobby and Campaign shoot like they're not being rumored to be traded. I just thought because Campaign 4 for 7, 3 of 4 from 3, put in 11 points. Cool. That's kind of what they need him to do. You got Pat 2 for 4, 5 points. Not really that good. But then Bobby coming out, a couple threes, but shooting wise, kind of near the post area and then in the restricted area. Again, shot 9 for 15, 20 points as if he's not on the chopping block. But he did foul out, though, which was one thing. But that was later on in the game where it didn't really matter as much anymore. But, yeah, it was just kind of funny watching those guys play as if, again, they're not on the chopping block, essentially. I just thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, otherwise, everyone else was pretty, again, good game from all the starters. Malik Beasley, again, another poor shooting game, but as I talk about the last game of wanting him to shoot more, but yeah, he had 8 points, but otherwise, Giannis, big game, triple-double. No, that's a lie. Not a triple-double, double-double. Lillard, again, 26 points. Better shooting game, not taking 24 shots, only took the 14, but yeah, everyone ended up playing this whole game, or everyone played in the game. You got some bench guys playing at the end. But yeah, good offensive game. Again, I guess a pretty good, decent game from the bench itself. Again, Bobby having the bigger game, but again, a couple other guys just kind of chipping in points. I know Andre had 3 points. He just had that one shot, but very stagnant game. Offense was better than the last one as well. Just this is like a game. I don't expect them to make 141 points every game, but a game where they're giving up less than 120 points and are scoring more than 130, I feel like is what average-wise they should be doing. I would say 125 and up, and then giving up less than maybe like 120, 115-ish area. 110 to 115 area should be their zone. But yeah, they blew up. The Pelicans did not, so I kind of felt that was a good bounce-back game from their poor shooting performance against the Cavs, especially on a back-to-back game.
Yeah, like you're not going to fix the defense all the way.
Yeah.
But if you could kind of improve it from 22nd, that would be, that would probably be where this team's going to be at. Because, as soon as you trade away Drew Holiday, you knew just that top 5 defense was going to go kind of down the drain.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of the fact that you're adding a bunch of players that don't defend at a high level. Like, again, they wanted to throw Malik Beasley and compare him to Drew Holiday just because of they went on the Basketball Reference and oh my God, he's got 5 steals for his career. He's not Drew Holiday.
No, he's not at all.
Everybody knew that Damian Lillard was nowhere near close to being a good defender or even an elite one. He's a below average defender. He needs to be hidden a lot of times, kind of like what they do with Steph. So, as far as like them playing as if they're on the trading block, I'm sure they knew Doc Rivers was in the crowd. They're just like, oh God, this guy's
I got a ball out.
precipitate us being traded. So we can't have that. So we gotta play our best game. Now, I will say this. The one person who I think is probably going to be on the trading block is Beauchamp, just because of the fact that how Rivers responded to one of the questions I was asked of him. He was asked about like what he's seen.
With Andre and Marjan.
Yeah, and he said, yeah, well, one of those guys has to make an impact for us. So
we know who's going to be.
Man, we know it's likely going to be Andre Jackson Jr. So, it's likely that Marjan's probably going to be traded for the deadline. If not, he might see his game. He might develop for the herd. But other than that, I could see Beauchamp for sure being traded. Like that, 100% is happening. He hasn't even been playing. He hasn't even been a part of the rotations for the past 6 games now.
Yeah, he played a little bit, I think, let me pull it back up. Yeah, he played 6 minutes in the Pelicans game, went 3 for 3. But that was, again, the last 6-ish minutes of the game where, you're just playing the garbage time. But, didn't play with the Cavs. The first one, I think he was with the herd. But, he's kind of turning into a Sandro type player where you're really good on the herd and then you come up here and obviously he's better than Sandro just kind of overall, but I think his talent being on the Bucks is not a good matchup.
No, and here's the other thing, okay? Like, your role with an organization is not in good standing if you're having to play garbage minutes with Thanasis. Okay?
Yeah.
Especially as being a second-year player. And your role is now being reduced to playing garbage minutes with Thanasis. That's not a role you want to be in. Okay, I get it. He's an NBA player. Okay, but I don't know. It's just one of those. It's just one of those things where everybody was high on Marjan.
We both were at the start of the season. He was a potential starter option.
Yeah, like he gained 15 pounds of muscle. And, he really looks really good in summer league. And oh my goodness, he traveled to Greek and he trained with Giannis. Like we were like, oh my God, this guy is gonna take another step, but it just it has not happened. And again, a lot of that changed after they traded Damian Lillard because I think everybody expected Marjan to be a part of that group, and they did it for a little bit, but then kind of as the season wore on, you're just like, oh no, he's not developing like we want him to.
Yeah, he's needs to play on one of the teams where they're not playing for anything, and he can go play 25 plus minutes and not have to worry about fighting for a role,
like the Wizards.
Yeah, there's probably 10 teams that could really benefit from him.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just tough when you're like a young player like that and you're trying to find your role. Even Andre Jackson Jr. is going through this right now, where he got, I believe, 2 straight DNPs.
Yeah, both
not like a lot of playing time. Like, because he's a young player, and your minutes are gonna shift and rotate and all this other stuff. So. Doc Rivers might have to play him because, to be honest here, there's not too many good players on the bench outside of Bobby Portis and like Cameron Payne.
Campaign every other 5 games.
So, kind of moving on to the other topics of the podcast. So as we mentioned before, Joe Prunty went 2-1 as the Bucks interim coach. Giannis was talking about how he's surprised Joe Prunty's never been a head coach anywhere else. Do you think Joe Prunty will eventually be a head coach somewhere?
Ooh, I feel like at this point, probably not. I feel like he would have gotten it already or had like a chance to do it, but I don't know. I feel like he's just been following along with other head coaches or just kind of picking up any assistant coach jobs that he can be, but I don't think so. It'd be cool, but I think it's too late in the game, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but not the role.
No, and that's okay. Like, here's the thing, okay? Just because a guy has a lot of experience doing one job, that doesn't mean he's ready to move up. Sometimes people are good at what they're good at. People say all the time that, that guy should be a head coach because he spent so many years as an assistant. Some people just aren't meant to be a head coach. That's fine. That's okay. Like, not everybody in the world's meant to be promoted. Like, some people have like leadership attributes. Like based on the 3 games, like I'd run through a wall for Joe Prunty. However, if he's not gonna if you're not gonna trust him to coach a championship level team, then where else would he go? There's only so many of these jobs to go around, and I feel like a lot of the coaches that get hired are usually retreads, or younger. Like, people are gonna start shifting younger. That's the thing about it, Evan, is that NBA teams are gonna hire younger coaches from like championship level teams. You saw with the Utah Jazz a few years ago, hired one of the youngest coaches in the league in Will Hardy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Or people will just hire coaches who have had success in the league. The Pistons hired Monty Williams. Why? Because he took the Suns to the finals a couple years ago, and he was a really good coach in Phoenix, but he had talent. He doesn't have that. He doesn't have that Detroit this year. They won 5 games. They're on a 2-game winning streak. They just beat the Thunder.
Yep.
So, do I think Joe Prunty? No, you are right. It's too late in the game. Okay, he's 54 years old, and the only 50-year-olds are getting a job in the NBA circles are coaches who have done it before.
Yep. Typically that or ex-players. It's like throwing Darvin Ham. Again, played in the league, pretty high head coach. Obviously did well, but yeah, some people, I don't see him as a head coach. I feel like if he would have been, he already would have had a head coach job just in general.
Some coaches, this is even more insane. Some coaches, they haven't done this since, I don't think. But Jason Kidd literally got a head coaching job right after he was done playing.
Yeah, he went right to the Nets.
He went right to the Nets. This is so stupid. Evan, he went coaching the Nets. It wasn't even a young Nets team either. It was like Darren Williams and like Joe Johnson, like Paul Pierce, KG. It's like
guys he like played against and played with.
Like KG and Jason Kidd are damn near the same age. Like really, you're gonna that was the craziest one where it was like, really, you're gonna give Jason Kidd a job just right, like not even like give him an assistant coaching job just right after he's done playing. That was nuts.
And see how that happened or turned out for a while.
But I'm not gonna. Well, Darvin Ham, I think Darvin Ham could be a good coach. It's just the problem is the GM likes to get his coaches fired. So I mean. You think I'm being unfair in saying that? Why does LeBron James had issues with like every coach he's basically had? Okay, he wanted to get Eric Spoelstra fired. Okay, he got David Blatt fired. The only coach he ever liked was Ty Lue, and he was pushing really hard to get Ty Lue to the Lakers. By the way, did you see the lie LeBron James had where it's like, I don't get guys traded.
Yeah,
I
love those videos where people find them.
It's like I don't. I just go with the guys that we have. Oh, okay. Interesting. Huh. So you weren't the one that got all those young players from LA traded for Anthony Davis?
Yep.
You stayed out of it. You stayed out of it, LeBron. Is that what I'm hearing? You stayed out of it. Well, but we got the same agent. I mean, goodness gracious. That's such a I love it when LeBron James lies because it's always so funny to me. It's so painfully obvious.
My favorite is
Like,
the Kobe Bryant 81 point game. Yeah, I knew he was going to do that the day of. Yeah, I just thought he was going to go for 70.
I,
It's so funny.
and then he was like, "I was going for 80."
Yep.
Oh.
My brother and I say that one all the time. Might as well go for 80. Good times, good times.
Yeah, LeBron. Next up, there was another defense. Last week, I think we talked about the fit that Matisse Thybulle could have to Milwaukee, where I think we talked about that, didn't we?
Yeah, we mentioned him and DeJounte. I know Royce O'Neal is now a name that's been thrown into the mix of
Yep, that's the name I was going to bring up. Yeah, so the question I had for you was, who, like, out of that group, who would be your top trade deadline target?
I mean, it would be nice to get DeJounte Murray because then you could throw him in the starting lineup and then realistically put Malik Beasley as probably your seventh man, just because Bobby Portis is your main sixth guy. So, and then you can get a little more scoring off the bench too. You got the defensive edge and DeJounte Murray, again, someone else who can score as well. But yeah, if you can get Malik Beasley somehow off the bench and have a decent scoring game, especially if he's going to be someone who's not taking a lot of shots just in general. Royce O'Neal was one. That's not a bad idea. I mean, is he a defender? Is that his main role? Because he only averages like 6 points. I would assume he's probably a defender. Okay.
Defender, yep.
Not familiar with his game as much. I just know anytime he plays them, they always light him up. But yeah, it's him, Matisse, and DeJounte, I think, have been their main three. I'm honestly not opposed to all of them. I would go DeJounte, Matisse, Royce O'Neal. I just think Matisse for age-wise, because I know Royce O'Neal is older. I just looked him up. He's 30. Again, Matisse Thybulle's a few years younger. But yeah, I would go in that order. But if we're throwing DeJounte Murray out, I feel like I would rather take Matisse Thybulle.
I actually went with Royce O'Neal, and here's the reason I said that. Because, number one, okay, I was kind of reading about this. I actually wrote about this last week, is that there's no guarantee that Matisse Thybulle is going to want to join the Bucks, and here's why.
I did see that. I forgot about that.
Yeah, because if you remember,
Doc Rivers,
he played under Doc Rivers in Philly, but I don't think he would maybe welcome a reunion in Milwaukee because he didn't get consistent minutes while playing under Doc Rivers.
Yes, I did forget about that.
Pendulum kind of shifted. It was like very inconsistent minutes. If I'm a player, I'm like, I don't want to deal with that again. Where sometimes I get 15, 20 minutes, and sometimes I don't get play. He doesn't play me at all. Royce O'Neal, like Royce O'Neal, I think Royce O'Neal and Matisse Thybulle would kind of be the same player of just high quality defenders. Could probably guard the best wing player. I really think that's just what Milwaukee needs. I just think they need that extra like PJ Tucker type of player. And by the way, actually PJ Tucker, his name was circulating.
Yeah, I was going to mention that as soon as you said his name. I was like, that's another name that I've seen get thrown out there too if he gets bought out. Kyle Lowry too. I mean, he's not really a defender, but I would assume the Hornets would probably buy out Kyle Lowry as well after he was traded.
Here's the thing. Here's a quick thing on PJ Tucker though. I would welcome him back to Milwaukee because I know he's going to be really cheap. And I know probably because he's not going to get another contract extension.
Yeah, he's done now.
Yeah, I think Milwaukee, I think really what they're doing is they're just going after – because right now, as you know, they could outscore teams with the best of them.
Yeah.
But the problem is they just don't have those dogs defenders, those dogged defenders. Yeah, they have, they have Giannis and Brook, and they're good, they're great, but they just don't have that wing defender that you're necessarily like, oh, this guy makes me nervous. They don't have that guy, and I don't know if they would throw PJ Tucker in there because PJ Tucker started a few games in the finals, and I don't know if that messed up the spacing or whatnot. Because it's just two kind of big guys on there, but Yeah, I think what Milwaukee's going to be looking for at the deadline is just get another wing defender. Like that's really all they're looking for, because if they have to play like a Miami or somebody in the playoffs, like I don't think they want like Jimmy Buckets going off against them in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So even our best defender could stop Jimmy Butler. So if they can get like Matisse Thybulle or Royce O'Neal, preferably Royce O'Neal, because I think he's played a lot of good basketball. He's been on playoff teams, and that's kind of been his role. I think if he can do that, I think it'll kind of help like fix the defense.
Yeah, they'll just need someone to have a better idea of guarding the three. But yeah, that's all they're gonna do. They're not gonna get some big name scorer. They're just getting a defender. Now, I do think they will make a trade. There's no doubt in my mind that they don't, because they need to. It's just on who is it gonna be. Because you throw the 4 names out there, I don't think they're gonna trade Bobby. I think at this point it would be kind of too late to do it. I feel like if we're gonna throw names out there, it'd be Marjan or Pat. But I mean, I'm for anything that will help with the defense just in general, because they're going to need it come playoffs, because they're not going to – this team would not win the NBA Finals or even make the finals with how they're going right now, depending on how Doc Rivers works, but realistically, no.
Well, here's the good news is that at least if Milwaukee plays like, at least we don't have to face any of those like – I'm trying to think who's like now a high volume scorer in the Eastern Conference, because the Nets had like 3 of them on one team.
Yeah, now we don't have to worry about James Harden, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving.
Oh God, golly! Here's the thing: I'm never gonna forget the 2021 playoffs, because Jesus, watching as a Bucks fan, Kevin Durant scared the crap out of me.
Yeah,
that man went God mode on us. If Milwaukee, I don't feel like has to deal with that. Maybe Tatum or Brown can have a couple of games like that. But no, actually, no, never mind. Actually, I've seen it before. Okay, Tatum. I do have to worry about Tatum. Tatum, like in an elimination game when God mode against Milwaukee, we could not stop that guy.
Yep, that's why they're gonna need someone.
They're gonna need someone. So. Moving on to the next one. For you, Evan, what will a successful season look like for Doc Rivers and the Milwaukee Bucks?
Are you adding playoffs as well, or just regular season?
I'm going to go ahead and throw regular season out, and here's why. Because I think at this point, for the Bucks as a franchise, the regular season, don't you feel like it's kind of a formality? Like, yeah. Okay, like these are a warm up for the playoffs.
Yeah, any team can beat anyone come playoff. Obviously, we know that from experience.
So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say playoffs. And real quick caveat before I add this.
Mm-hmm.
I actually did a quick blog post about this. Austin Rivers said that like this year isn't the end all be all. Like if they don't have to necessarily win anything this year, but next year they have to at least make it to the conference finals. I disagreed with them. I was like, "What? No, they got to at least make it. But they got to make a deep run in the playoffs for this year to be successful." I'm not saying you could just stack championships on top of each other, because that's really hard. But we gotta be advancing here. We can't just be out in the second round again. So playoffs. What's a successful season look like to you?
They have to make. I feel like it's minimum Eastern Conference Finals, and I feel like they have to. See, it's tough, because if it's Bucks Celtics for Eastern Conference Finals, that'll be tricky, especially if they lose. But if the Bucks don't play the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals, I feel like they just have to outdo the Celtics. Where because again, it goes back to we traded Drew Holiday. Was that the good choice? And then if we're able to or I would say last longer than the team that we traded him to, again, beating the Celtics, I feel like that is one of their top priorities is you have to do better than the team that you traded your number 2 guy to. Because then it's, Bucks should never traded Damian Lillard. Drew Holiday is better than him and had a bigger, you get all that nonsense that will be nonstop for months on end. And I already see it coming. I know all the comments that are going to happen, but yeah, I feel like they have to outdo the Celtics somehow. Or, yeah, because it's going to be hard because I got a feeling it's going to be, if the Bucks can win and get to the Eastern Conference Finals, I have a feeling they will be playing the Celtics.
And here's the other thing too, is that Celtics fans may not realize it, but like playoff Drew is not a pretty sight. It's not. Okay. And you think I'm being a hater? There was 3 years of just poor performances in the playoffs for Drew Holiday. Like he's not the player that you think he's going to be, especially in the postseason. So, you know, he's gonna play really good defense on Damian Lillard, but again, if you have to rely on Drew Holiday, you're not going to win that series.
Yeah, no,
you're not going to win that series. Like Jaylen Brown, maybe Jason Tatum, for sure. Jason Tatum could put together a good playoff performance, but you know that's not like your defense got better, but overall as a team, like who's a better playoff performer, Damian Lillard or Drew Holiday? Well, Damian Lillard, because we've seen him make big time shots in the playoffs. Time and time again. So, you know, there were times where Damian Lillard just went damn near God mode on the playoffs. You know?
I'm just kind of curious to see how he does just overall for the Bucks because we obviously know what he's done on the Trailblazers.
Yeah, we've seen it on the Trailblazers, but, you know, the scenes, if he hit a shot like he did against the Thunder, if he did that in a Bucks uniform, oh my God, the whole city, like that's going to be like an earthquake.
Yeah.
Like I sort of, if he hits a shot like that, and again, I don't, you know, for some reason, it felt a little more special just because of like where Portland plays, where it's like, that just looks like a really nice, like basketball arena, where it's just a moment like that in an arena like that, just, oh, Jesus. Makes that moment a lot more special.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I hope Damian Lillard does it. Golly, that would be a lot of fun. But you know, yeah, for me, I would say I'm gonna go Eastern Conference Finals too. Okay, I just want to feel like that we're like going somewhere. That we're going up.
Yeah, we've gotten worse since they've won the finals.
Yeah, and you know, and again, I want to make this crystal clear too. Any year that Milwaukee doesn't win a championship, you've already wasted another year of Giannis' prime. So correct. I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna say, you know, I know it's not fair for me to say that because you know championships are really hard to win, but I'm sure Giannis wants to win more than one championship. He doesn't want to be like Dirk Nowitzki, but. You know, the team has made a commitment to him to show Giannis that they want to win. They want to win the worst way. They want to acquire talent. So, you know, I don't expect John. I expect John Horst to be really aggressive in the deadline and in the buyout market too. Like, if they could, like, really think it out loud here, if they could nab Kyle Lowry, like, I think that would be a good pickup. Because veteran guard.
Throw him on the bench, have him come up with some of the younger guys.
But then I just remember that we have Cameron Payne on the roster. So,
who's getting dumped?
You're traded.
Yep.
So yeah, it'll be be interesting to see what how aggressive Milwaukee wants to be in the deadline. It's coming up in the next couple weeks, about 8 days from now, I'd say.
Yeah, is it the 8th or the 9th?
It is the 8th.
Yeah, February 8th.
Yeah.
That's next week already. I don't like that.
But here's the thing. I guarantee you, Thursday, February 8th, everybody's gonna be sitting by their phones waiting for like the Shams or Woj bombs.
That's the best time of the year for any sport.
Yep. Hey, get your push notifications on. Because let me tell you. And I can guarantee you this. Barring whatever's happening with our schedules, Evan and I will be there to discuss what trades want to make. I can guarantee you that. Two more topics on the docket. What is your reaction to Giannis and Lillard being named the All-Star starters for the Eastern Conference?
Obviously, Giannis was a no surprise for me. Especially, it was just kind of surprising that he was the number one, I think, in all the league. Like, he outdid Giannis. He outdid LeBron. I think that's like the first time that's happened in quite a few years for him. The Lillard one definitely was a little surprise. And when I saw that, I knew people were going to have a field day with that because Jalen Brunson deserved this more. And Tyrese Maxey deserve that. I'm like, okay, Tyrese Maxey is not going to start in the All-Star game. I'm just going to let you know that. Jalen Brunson, again, is another iffy one where, I mean, you could have thrown it to him, but I feel like team success, but I don't know. I mean, I'm pumped because he's never been a starter for the All-Star game for Lillard. So to get that in his first year here, it's kind of surprising again. Was not expecting that to happen, but I'm all for it. It'll be kind of cool to have the teammates represent them, both starting as well, so they'll get the more minutes together. But yeah, definitely enjoyed it, but was very surprised. But it is what it is, and it goes in our favor.
Yeah. This is all about. Look, here's the thing. Okay, let's be honest here. The All-Star starters, that's got really all about like name brand and like name recognition. Like who's a bigger star? Like Damon Lillard's obviously a bigger star than both those guys that you mentioned. Okay, yeah. If Tyrese Halliburton didn't get hurt, he could have made a case that he was probably going to start in the All-Star game. It's in Indianapolis, correct?
Yeah.
Oh wait. I think I think he already is starting in the All-Star game. Okay, no, never mind.
Yeah, Halliburton is, and
he is starting in the All-Star game. I forgot about that. So
but he's been hurt, so we don't know.
He is supposed to come back tonight.
Okay.
I believe tonight, I believe the Pacers play. But look, it is all about name. I get it. It's New York Knicks. New York's like, like a historic NBA franchise, but at the same time, it's like, really, what do you want to watch? You want to watch Jalen Brunson start in the All-Star game, or do you want to watch Damian Lillard?
Yep.
Me personally, I'd rather watch Damian Lillard just because, he's going to drop some nukes.
Yeah, whether he was on the Bucks or not.
He's like, dude's going to drop some nukes from 75 feet away. Like the shots. Like he'll take some insane shots in the All-Star game.
Yeah, he won the All-Star game a few years ago with a half-court shot right in the corner.
It's just.
I'd rather watch that.
Me personally, I love watching the All-Star game because it's just, it's first of all, it's a lot of fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and second of all, it's just kind of watching like some of the competitions that go down. It's just like, it's
had a couple rough patches, I feel like, in the past few years.
What was a horrible event last year? It was like the
skills,
the
skills competition.
Oh, that was horrible. Oh, that was
Giannis,
so
Kostas, and Giannis, Alex, and Thanasis.
Oh my God, that was so bad. That was like the worst. That was like the worst competition. It was three guys. It was like the Bucks, three guys, like the Jazz. 3 guys, and was it the Cavs?
Yes, I think so.
Oh, good Lord. That was good Lord. The dunk contest, though.
Yeah, Mac McClung brought it back.
Is Mac McClung in the dunk contest this year or no?
I think so.
Okay, thank God.
Because I know he's in the G League, but I feel like they'll do something where he can come up for those few days, do that, and then go back down.
Actually, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna share our screen. I want to see who's in the dunk contest this year. Because now I'm like
I feel like he has to be in it.
I won't be able to get off of this until I check that. Where's the dunk contest? Okay, who do we got? Two AT&T Slam Dunk. It is. Do they have it? Oh,
I don't know if it's been confirmed, but let's see the rumors right here. I found.
It was Mac McClung. It's got to be.
They asked is it Jaime Jaquez?
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's a rumor. Confirm nor deny.
Cam Whitmore's not doing it. Jaime Jaquez. So you can't confirm or deny it. Okay, I don't think they've really
Yeah,
I really don't think they've announced it yet.
They probably will in the next 2 weeks or so.
Oh, that's right. Because when is that?
17th.
Okay, that would make sense. I was like, why haven't they announced anything yet? And I'm just like,
yeah, the 16th to the 18th is the All-Star stuff.
Okay, so all right, that makes sense. Right after the Super Bowl. So that makes a little bit of sense.
Yep.
Actually, there's one more topic last topic I just thought about. So earlier last week, I believe it was, or late last week, Doc Rivers added Dave Yeager and Rex Tianeman. I gotta look at the guy's name. My question is gonna be, what is the value of adding high level assistants like that?
I think it helps because I know the guy with was it the Grizzlies? Did he used to be with?
Grizzlies and the Kings.
Okay, I know he's defensive heavy as well. I'll have to try to find it for the next one, but I did see a tweet about kind of the pros and cons with him. I know he's not the best with player relationships, but I know he is very defensive heavy. But I feel overall that's going to help him out more than other guys would have, I feel overall. But with a guy who has experience as a head coach, I feel it doesn't hurt to have someone with that high level of experience, even if it wasn't the best scenarios with him, because I think one of the teams he was with, he got let go or fired, something like that. But again, some of those guys are meant to be head coaches, and here he is as an assistant coach.
Yeah, and he was actually the coach with Doc Rivers on his staff back in Philadelphia. So, just kind of bringing back a familiar face. He was a pretty good coach with the Grizzlies. He kind of dealt with kind of the doldrums of the Grizzlies, when they had, it was kind of near the end of the eras of Marcus Gasol and Zach Randolph,
Mm-hmm.
and Mike Conley was starting to get older, so. It wasn't good towards the end of his tenure, but I think he is a very high-level coach. And as far as Rex, as I'm just going to call him, he's obviously been with Doc Rivers and the Clippers, and just kind of been with him for a long time. So,
yeah.
And I think there is good value to having high-level assistants like that because, I think the part that everybody goes back to is why didn't the Celtics accomplish what they wanted to last year? Well, they had, high level assistants, veteran assistant coaches, leave. David Stoudemire took a different job, and Will Hardy took a different job, and the guys that they wanted, and it was just kind of too late to really fill in good, solid staff with years of basketball experience. So I think that's what Doc Rivers is kind of trying to provide here, because this Milwaukee assistant coaching branch, really outside of Joe Prunty and Vin Baker, are on the younger side. Josh Oppenheimer maybe, but I think they're just trying to find guys who, hey, let's just get some more. Let's get some more sounding boards here. Let's get more guys with diverse ideas. Let's get guys who have been coaching in the league for a long time. So, it's good on Doc Rivers to kind of somewhat fill his staff, and hopefully next year he gets Sam Cassell. Sam Cassell, that man's been with him all over the place.
Yeah, the alien.
Bring him back to it. Bring him back to Milwaukee. So, Evan, you got anything else?
I do not. Again, we got the Nuggets tonight, and then a Wednesday game. Lillard's first game back in Portland, and then they got a Saturday, Sunday, Mavs, Jazz, both away. So you got 5 away games in a row, turning into next week with the Suns. But yeah, big game tonight. First Doc Rivers game.
Yep. So me and Evan will be excited to watch that. See how they play against Jokic. It's really not always the easiest player to play against because he's a unicorn. But yeah, we'll see what happens. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Milwaukee Bucks on Tap podcast. See you guys
next time.
somewhere down the line. We'll see you somewhere down the line. That's all we're gonna say.